Good day everyone, I am Charlene P. Dominguez and I am with Jeremy Alaw. And today, we will be presenting to you our learnings in Quarter 3, which is the radical expression and rational exponents, and also the laws of radical. Reminders: this topic is very important in mathematics because it helps us understand roots, powers, and how they are related to each other. By the end of this video, you will be able to define the radical expression, rational exponents, and laws of radical and convert one form to the others. So, let's get started. Question: what is radical expression? Radical expression is an expression that contains a radical symbol, usually square root symbol. This. For example, the square root of 9 is 3 because when 3 multiplied by itself is equal to 9. And square root of 16 is 4 because 4 when it multiplied to itself is equal to 16. There are 4 main parts of the radical, which is the index, radical symbol, radicand, and coefficient of the radical. So let's discuss each one of them. So let's observe this following illustration. The first one is the index. Index is a small number that tells the type of roots. For example, when there is no index written, it means square root. The second one is the radical sign. This one. It is the symbol that indicates the roots. The third one is the radicand. This. It is the number inside the radical sign. And lastly, the coefficient of the radical. This. It is the number written in front of the radical sign. It tells us how many times the radical is being multiplied. Example number 1. Square root of 49. The square root of 49 is 7 because 7 times 7 is equal to 49. Example number 2. Square root of negative 27 and the index is 3. We need to find a number that when we multiply 3 times will answer negative 27. So the answer is negative 3 because when negative 3 times negative 3 is equal to 9 and 9 times negative 3 is equal to negative 27. Example number 3. Square root of 32 and the index is 5. We need also to find number that when we multiply 5 times will answer positive 32. And the answer is 2 because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And 16 times 2 is 32. Example number 4. Square root of negative 121. When we try negative 11 times negative 11, the answer is positive 121. But the number is negative 121, so there is no real number of this number. And the last number is square root of negative 10. We just need to times the negative 10 2 times. So negative 10 times negative 10 is equal to 100. So 100 is still a square root. So the answer is 10. Because 10 times 10 equals to 100. So now, let's proceed to laws of radicals. The law of radicals have different type of formula. The first law, second law, third law, and fourth law. The formula of the first law is the n root of x raised to the power n is equal to x, or the n root of x to the power n equal x. And the formula of the second law is the n root of x times y is equal to the n root of x times the n root of y. And also, the formula of the third law is the n root of x over y is equal to the n root of x divided by the n root of y. And lastly, the formula of fourth law is the n root of the nth root of x is equal to m root of the n root of x, which is equal to the m root of x. So, the first law is very basic at all because all we need to do is to cancel out the exponent to get the final answer. For example, the exponent is 6 and the square root is b. All we need to do is to cancel out the 6. So, the answer is b. So, this is the final answer of Jeff Ryan, and all of his answer is correct. For example of second law is cube root square root 8x to the power of 6. So, there are two radicand, which is the 8 and x. So, all we need to do is to separate them. Separate the cube root square root 8 times cube root square root x to the power of 6. So the cube root of 8 is 2. And the cube root x to the 6th power, all we need to do is to divide the exponent, which is the 3 and the 6. So 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. The simplified form is 2x squared. So the next example is open parenthesis square root of 8 close parenthesis and open parenthesis square root 2 close parenthesis. So the first example is separated. So the second example can be used as mix. So it becomes square root 8 times 2. Remember, when the given is mix, you can separate them. When the given is separated, you can mix them. So 8 times 2 equal to 16. And the square root of 16 is 4. First step is to separate them. Separate the square root 12 and the square root 16 and find a number that can divide them, which is 4. So 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3 and 16 divided by 4 is 4. So again, separate the square root 21 and square root 9 and find a number that can divide them, which is 3. So 21 divided by 3 is equal to 7. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. For example, the cube root square root of 8. So 8 is not a perfect square because 8 is a perfect cube. So the 8 is not a perfect square but a perfect cube. We need to change the index, which is square root of cube root square root of 8. All we need to do is to exchange the cube root. So you can calculate it easily because 8 have a cube root, which is the 2. So the answer is square root of 2. You don't need to simplify it.